Hello, and welcome to Podcast for English. My name is Linda. I'm really happy you're here today. This channel is for people who want to learn English in a simple and natural way. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to speak fast. You don't need to understand every word. You only need to listen. You can listen while you rest. You can listen while you work. You can listen while you live your daily life. Take a deep breath, relax your body, clear your mind. Now, let's begin today's English lesson together. In today's podcast, we are talking about learning speed, fast learning, slow learning, and why slow learning often works better. Many people believe learning fast is the best way. They think, if I learn faster, I will succeed sooner. So they rush. They rush through lessons. They rush through videos. They rush through methods. They want results. They want progress. They want confidence. And they want it now. But fast learning often creates pressure. Pressure to keep up. Pressure to understand everything. Pressure to move quickly. This pressure feels heavy. And heavy learning does not last. Today's topic is simple, but very important. Slow learning works better than fast learning. Not because slow learning is easier, but because slow learning fits the brain. Language is not information. Language is a skill. And skills do not grow well when rushed. When you learn too fast, your brain becomes tense. It tries to catch everything. It tries to remember everything. It tries to not fall behind. This effort uses a lot of energy, and tired brains do not learn well. Slow learning creates a different experience. It gives the brain time to hear, time to notice, time to connect. This is how real learning happens. This podcast is not telling you to stop learning. It is telling you to slow the pace. Because speed does not equal progress. Understanding does not come from rushing. It comes from staying. This episode is for you if you feel tired after studying. It is for you if you feel stressed when learning English. It is for you if you feel like you are always behind. Slow learning is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of respect. Respect for your brain, respect for the process, respect for long-term growth. In this podcast, we will talk about why rushing causes confusion, why slow input feels easier, and why slow learning creates stronger results. You do not need to change your habits today. You only need to see learning from a new angle. As you listen, do not try to understand everything. Just listen. Let the ideas settle slowly. Slow learning is not falling behind. It is moving forward in a way that lasts. Rushing creates pressure, and pressure creates confusion. Many people think speed will help them learn faster. They think, if I move quickly, I will understand more. But the opposite often happens. When you rush, your brain feels chased. It feels like it must keep up. This feeling creates pressure. Pressure tells the brain, do not fall behind. But learning does not work well under pressure. When the brain feels pressured, it becomes tense. A tense brain cannot focus deeply. It hears sound, but it does not absorb meaning. This is how confusion begins. Rushing also breaks attention. You move from one lesson to the next too quickly. You do not give the brain time to process. You hear information, then replace it before it settles. Nothing stays long enough to become clear. Confusion is not a lack of intelligence. It is a lack of space. The brain needs space to organize new language. Rushing removes that space. Another problem with rushing is expectation. You expect fast results. When you do not get them, frustration appears. Frustration adds more pressure. Pressure increases confusion. This cycle is common. Rushing also creates comparison. You see others learning quickly. You feel slow. This feeling pushes you to rush more, but rushing more creates more confusion. Fast learning often looks productive. You finish many lessons. You cover many topics. But covering is not understanding. Understanding needs time. Slow learning respects this. It allows pauses. It allows repetition. It allows rest. Rushing removes pauses. And without pauses, the brain cannot connect ideas. This is why learning feels messy when you rush. You may know many things, but nothing feels clear. Confusion makes learning feel hard. And when learning feels hard, many people quit. Not because they cannot learn, but because the method is too fast. Understanding this is important because you stop blaming yourself. You stop saying, I am not good at this. You start saying, I need to slow down. Slowing down removes pressure. Removing pressure removes confusion. And when confusion fades, learning becomes possible again. The brain learns better at a slower pace, not because it is weak, but because it needs time. Language learning is not instant. The brain does not change in one moment. It changes through repetition, through rest, through connection. When learning is slow, the brain can relax. A relaxed brain is open. An open brain notices patterns. It hears sounds again. It recognizes rhythm. It connects meaning. These connections need time. When learning is fast, the brain stays busy. It is always catching up. It is always processing. There is no time to settle. Nothing becomes familiar. Familiarity is the base of understanding. The brain understands what it feels often. Slow learning creates familiarity. You hear the same sounds, you hear similar phrases. Each time they feel easier. This ease is not laziness, it is learning. Another reason the brain prefers slow learning is memory. Memory forms better when information is spaced. Learning a little today and again tomorrow is stronger than learning a lot once. This is how memory grows. Fast learning often overloads memory. Too many words, too many rules. The brain cannot store everything, so it forgets. Slow learning respects limits. It gives the brain what it can handle. and this builds confidence. The brain also needs rest to learn well. Rest is not wasted time. Rest is when the brain organizes information. Slow learning includes rest naturally. Fast learning often removes rest. And without rest, learning feels exhausting. This is why slow learning feels lighter, not because you do less, but because you learn in a way the brain prefers. When the brain feels safe, learning continues. When the brain feels rushed, learning stops. Understanding this changes how you learn. You stop pushing, you start allowing. And when you allow time, the brain learns more deeply, more naturally, more permanently. Slow learning reduces fear. And when fear is lower, stress becomes smaller. Many people feel fear when learning English. They fear mistakes. They fear falling behind. They fear not being good enough. Fast learning feeds this fear. When learning is fast, the mind feels chased. It feels like it must perform. Performance creates stress. Stress tells the body, be alert. But alert bodies do not learn well. Slow learning creates a different message. It says, there is time. There is no rush. This message calms the nervous system. Calm bodies learn better. Slow learning also lowers expectations. You are not trying to understand everything now. You allow confusion. Allowing confusion reduces fear. Fear grows when confusion feels dangerous. Slow learning teaches the brain that confusion is normal. This is important because confusion is part of learning. Fast learning often hides confusion. You move on before you understand. Confusion stays inside, and later it appears as fear. Slow learning lets confusion breathe. You stay with it, you do not fight it. And slowly it clears. Another reason slow learning reduces stress is control. You choose the pace. You can pause. You can repeat. You can rest. This sense of control reduces anxiety. Anxious brains do not learn deeply. Slow learning also reduces comparison. You stop racing others. You focus on your own rhythm. This focus creates safety. Safety creates confidence. Fast learning often looks impressive, but it feels heavy. Slow learning may look quiet, but it feels kind. Kind learning lasts longer. When learning feels safe, you stay. When you stay, learning continues. This is why slow learning reduces fear and stress. And when fear and stress are lower, learning becomes possible again. Slow learning creates strong foundations. Foundations are important because everything is built on them. When learning is fast, foundations are weak. You move quickly, you skip steps, you miss details. At first, this feels fine, but later, problems appear. You forget words. You confuse grammar. You lose confidence. This happens because the base was not strong enough. Slow learning builds the base carefully. You hear sounds clearly. You understand meaning slowly. You repeat naturally. Each step supports the next one. This creates stability. Strong foundations make learning easier later. You do not need to fix many problems. You do not need to relearn everything. You simply continue. Slow learning also builds clear connections. Words connect to meaning, sounds connect to feeling, sentences connect to context. These connections need time. Fast learning does not give time. Connections stay weak. Slow learning lets the brain link things together. Linked learning lasts longer. Another reason slow learning creates strong foundations is confidence. You understand what you hear, not perfectly, but clearly enough. This clarity builds trust. Trust says, I know this. I can continue. Fast learning often skips trust. You move on before feeling ready. This creates doubt. Slow learning respects readiness. It waits. It listens. It repeats. This patience builds confidence. Strong foundations also reduce fear. When the base is strong, you feel safe. You are not afraid of new content. You are not afraid of making mistakes because you trust your foundation. Language learning is like building a house. Fast building looks impressive, but it may fall. Slow building takes time, but it stands. When foundations are strong, everything above becomes easier. This is why slow learning creates stronger foundations, and strong foundations support real progress. Slow learning improves long-term memory, not short memory, not test memory, real memory. Many people remember English for a short time. They study, they remember, they forget. This cycle is very common. Fast learning often creates this problem. Information enters quickly, but it leaves quickly. The brain does not have time to store it deeply. Slow learning changes how memory works. When learning is slow, the brain revisits information. It hears the same sound again. It sees the same word again. It meets the same idea again. Each meeting makes memory stronger. Memory grows with repetition over time, not with force. Slow learning uses spacing. You learn a little today. You return tomorrow. You return again later. This spacing tells the brain this is important. The brain saves what feels important. Fast learning often feels temporary. Slow learning feels stable. Another reason slow learning improves memory is emotion. Calm learning creates calm emotion. Calm emotion helps memory stay. Stressful learning creates weak memory because stress tells the brain, escape, not store. Slow learning reduces stress, and memory becomes stronger. Slow learning also allows sleep to help. The brain organizes memory during rest. When learning is slow, the brain has time to rest between sessions. This rest strengthens memory. Fast learning often removes rest. And without rest, memory stays shallow. Slow learning also builds meaning. You do not memorize words alone. You hear them in context. You feel their use. Meaningful memory lasts longer. This is why slow learning creates memory that stays, not memory that disappears. When memory is strong, learning feels easier. You do not need to relearn everything. You continue from what you remember. This makes progress steady. Slow learning respects how memory works. And when memory is respected, learning becomes lasting. Slow learning builds confidence. Not loud confidence, not sudden confidence, quiet confidence. When learning is slow, you understand what you hear. You are not guessing. Understanding creates trust. Trust creates confidence. Fast learning often skips understanding. You move on before feeling clear. This creates doubt. Doubt weakens confidence. Slow learning lets confidence grow naturally. You feel comfortable. You feel familiar. This comfort is important because confidence does not come from speed. It comes from safety. Slow learning also builds consistency. Consistency means you return again. You do not burn out. You do not quit. Fast learning often leads to exhaustion. You push hard, you feel tired, you stop. Slow learning feels sustainable. You can continue. This continuation is powerful because consistency creates progress. Slow learning also removes pressure. You are not racing. You are not comparing. You are learning at your own pace. This reduces stress. Stress kills consistency. Slow learning keeps learning gentle. Gentle learning lasts longer. Confidence also grows because mistakes feel safe. You make mistakes. You learn. You continue. Fear is low. Low fear allows confidence. Over time, slow learning changes how you see yourself. You stop thinking, I am slow. You start thinking, I am steady. This identity is strong because steady learners do not quit. Slow learning builds a habit. Habits are stronger than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Habits stay. This is why slow learning builds confidence and consistency. Not quickly, but deeply. And deep change lasts. Choosing slow learning changes your English, and it also changes your life. When you choose slow learning, you stop fighting time. You stop chasing speed. You stop chasing results. You begin to stay. Staying changes everything. In English, slow learning changes how you listen. You listen more calmly. You listen with less fear. You listen with more patience. This calm listening opens the mind. When the mind is open, understanding grows. Slow learning also changes how you feel about progress. You stop asking, why am I not fluent yet? You start noticing, I understand more than before. These small moments matter because they build trust, trust in the process, trust in yourself. Slow learning changes your relationship with mistakes. Mistakes no longer mean failure. They mean learning. This removes fear. And when fear is gone, ability appears. Slow learning also changes your daily life. You are no longer stressed about finding long study time. You allow English to enter your life naturally. A little listening, a little exposure, every day. This feels human, not forced, not heavy, because slow learning fits real life. It respects your energy. It respects your emotions. It respects your pace. Over time, this respect creates balance. Balance creates consistency. Consistency creates results. Slow learning also changes your mindset. You stop seeing learning as a race. You see it as a journey you do not rush, a journey you do not quit. This mindset is powerful because it stays with you beyond English. You become more patient, more focused, more calm. These qualities help in many areas of life. Choosing slow learning does not make you slower. It makes you stronger. It builds learning that lasts. It builds confidence that stays. It builds English that feels natural. Not perfect, but real. And real learning is the kind of learning that changes everything. Slowly, gently, permanently. You've reached the end of today's episode. Before you leave, I want you to remember one simple thing. You did something good for yourself today. You listened. You stayed. You didn't give up. And that matters. Learning English is not about being fast. It is not about being perfect. It is about showing up again and again. Some days will feel easy. Some days will feel hard. Both are normal. Progress does not always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels quiet. Sometimes you don't notice it at all. But learning is still happening. Every minute you listen, your ears are learning new sounds. Your mind is learning new patterns. Your confidence is growing, even if you cannot see it yet. You don't need to push yourself. You don't need to compare yourself to others. You are on your own path, and your pace is enough. Let English be part of your daily life. Listen while you rest. Listen while you work. Listen while you live your normal day. If this episode helped you feel calmer, more focused, or more motivated, then your time here was well spent. Come back when you can. Come back when you need a quiet space to learn. My name is Linda, and this is Podcast for English. Thank you for learning with me. Until next time, keep going and never give up. Believe in yourself, because you are stronger than you think.